Okay, hello everyone. Um, so we have some voiceover footage here because there was too much footage this time around. We got a lot of work done this week. You'll see in the gameplay a little bit later some of the stuff that we have going on in B1F. But before that, you'll notice that we are back up to 4 characters, and I think that that's where we'll want to stick because 4 character party best represents how the aggro system works, and you'll see a couple examples of that in this gameplay playthrough. You'll notice we have finally named the party members. They're just A, B, C, and D. And we'll be using like names from like a random generator built into the game because you sort of generate the characters, right? That way. Anyway, so what's new this time around? So I went back through and I redid a bunch of the stat growths. I accelerated the XP curve. So rather than going for a level 1 through level 5 gameplay experience, I decided to go for level 1 through level 10. The reason for this is that while playing through the game, you'll notice that all the classes, they're sort of a blank class. This is your starter class, previously called rookie. I'm calling it blank for now, right? And then you put like your sort of license class on it. So in this initial section of floor 1F, you actually go through levels 1, 2, 3 roughly, right? And that sort of qualifies you to pick up your class. So what this allows me to do is make the opening section of the game more of a tutorial, right? Where we can slowly onboard features, right? Such as how the aggro system works, melee weapons, healing, shields, FOEs, then ranged weapons, junk piles, right? These are a little bit easier to see if you are not being distracted by class abilities and having to juggle them alongside everything else. This is a conscious decision. Let's sort of see how players take it. And I think that some players may actually just want to speed ahead to where they can pick up the classes, but there's still a good bit of gameplay here. I think that the initial section is not only good at tutorialization, but is also good at creating this sense of tension and fear, right? That I kind of want as part of this game, right? You're fresh out of the vat, right? You've been grown, you don't really know why you're being led by this voice that's coming over the station speakers as the station falls apart. So I think that sort of goes in well with that disorientation. One of the things that you'll note is that the number of slots we have is actually 2. So this is very restrictive, right? And this is intentional. This is to make your first class promotion that much more valuable, right? That you go from 2 slots to 4 slots, right? And by the end of the demo, you'll go up to 6 slots, right? But rather than having all 6 of them and then you filling it up with equipment as you run into them, what this does is it makes sure that we don't have to worry about things like dual wielding and things like that in that first initial tutorial section. Right? But we are able to, for example, have one person, right, with the knife, one person with the dart gun, right, and sort of naturally create these kinds of roles that will be embodied by the party. You'll notice the new med stations. The med stations that has a display of what their sort of full kind of features will be like, but a good number of those features will be turned off for this part of the demo. Later on, you'll get access to making your own clones, right? Which is basically adding new members to your party. I think the other one was, the thing that will be pertinent for this part of the demo is that the med stations are also your revival points, similar to games like System Shock and Bioshock. When you die, you want it to be part of a contiguous experience, right? So rather than going to like a game over, basically it fast forwards to a couple hours later when your crew is reprinted, right? And you sort of resume your mission from there. I want to see how long we can kind of keep that conceit going. But I do think that there is interesting story space, because when the game starts, the party that is created are backups of the original sort of crew members, right, who have died under sort of like the circumstances you're going through. So we've changed around some of the shops. So now you can buy ammo, right? Ammo at when I did this playthrough was 25, and that's like 25 credits per shot, which is maybe a little bit too much. So I've adjusted that to 10, but it was a good way of seeing sort of how ranged weapons work into this economy, right? Where ranged weapons are good because of their high accuracy and lack of counter, but they cost you economically over time. And at a certain point in the game, right, you'll be able to overcome in combat, right? But at this point in the game, right, especially with how they are costing you in the turn economy, in terms of your fluid economy, that you may want to consider other types of weapons over the ranged weapons. So yeah, so the first part is getting enough money, right, in order to fill out the slots, right. We allow you to, the roller wardens, right, I sort of reconfigured them. They're a little bit harder than before, and so initially we kind of want you to run from them, and then later on we want you to be able to defeat them more consistently, but we give you a cheese option. Okay, let's talk about the op station. So this is a new addition. So this is where once you're level 3, you are able to pick up your first license, and that is your class, and you can switch licenses, right, at sort of no cost. You just need to find an op station. The op station is also where you can respec your skills, and you start generating skill points, and this is why we have extended it to up to level 10, starting level 4. I noticed that if you were gaining skill points before you got your class, the moment you got your class, you weren't really using the original versions of those skills, right, and so you didn't really have an informed opinion on what you wanted to improve, right, and kind of so here we're exploring floor B1F, and this is the first of the new enemies, this Welder drone. The Welder drone is similar to the Oculus above, but they have like a fire attack, and they have this smoke that can inflict blindness, and so we're starting to introduce status effects, right, as sort of like part of our game's vocabulary. This open section here, this has a flying FOE. I haven't quite figured out how to do that passability wise yet, but there's like a pterodon, right, that can like fly through space, which is kind of terrifying. Okay, this is a new enemy. This is a recycler swarm. This is the first of the swarm types of enemies. The swarm enemies, basically they have a thing, they work like hydras, right, where the sort of total amount of health dictates how many sort of are in the swarm and how many attacks that they can do, and swarms sort of regenerate, which sort of indicates that they are gathering sort of members of the swarm, right, as time goes on. So what I may end up doing is having these enemies start at half health, right, and then if you don't defeat them, then they regenerate, and that becomes an escalating problem as they gain more and more attacks on you. Here we have another fight against the Welder drones, and so we're starting to use a mix of your regular attack and your abilities. And what I found was that ranged weapons naturally work really well with scions, because scions are sort of waiting for the right turn to use their skills, so they may as well like shoot, right? And if they don't want to use their skill, they can also spend that turn to reload, whereas the other classes are a little more reticent to, right, to do that sort of action economy wise. Here we have using sort of sonic tackle, right, in order to both deal damage and also switch your border. We also have a couple uses of guard ally, right? So I'm feeling pretty good about grunt. I think sneak, I need to figure out slip away stuff. Right now that hasn't been implemented yet, but sneak is already they're the multi-hit class currently. So there's ways for them to particularly go after evasive enemies or take advantage of enemies that have like a patch of weakness. They're also the class that can inflict blind, which is useful particularly against, like, for example, these enemies, right? The Recycler swarms. If you're able to blind or stun a swarm, that is huge because that is not just one attack that you're warding off, that is multiple. However, the way that I've done the swarms this time around has been to increase their action times, and I sort of realized that, like, that's a bad way to go about it. So that'll be fixed by the next time we run into them. I did realize that throwing 2 of a swarm and later in this playthrough 3 of a swarm is a little bit too much in terms of attacks at this point in the game. So I'm probably going to cool off, right, and have swarms be just like 1 to 2 enemies, right, and then other enemies can be a little bit more numerous. One of the things tuning wise I realized in floor B1F is that it is meant to be a little bit harder, right? But as you're seeing, the party's like nearly dead, right? And I'm like actively avoiding like where the fixed encounters are. You'll also see why the full heal basically has no cost, right? So yeah, we're here at the shop. Unfortunately, we don't have too much to sell. I think that's on me. I didn't set up the enemy drops properly. So we should have been seeing more of the welder drones and the recycler swarms dropping things that can be sold. Right now, they're only really dropping kind of like essentials. Right? So here you run into a set of welder drones while trying to extract things from the junk pile, right? Because the junk pile is easy money, right? If you're able to use it up all the way. Now that we have multiple floors, we have to consider how we're doing kind of cross-floor interactions. So do junk piles on previous floors restore the moment you change floors, and like, is that something that can be open to exploitation, right, with players moving back and forth between floors in order to restore their junk pile. One of the things that I've done is whenever you do a full heal, that's sort of a reset on any enemies that are chasing you. So any FOEs and things that are aggro onto you, right, that are still aggro onto you, that sort of counts as like a Dark Souls modifier. I'm wondering if that's what we count as sort of like a rest, right? In Big Bone Twist. Okay, so sorry, a new enemy has popped up on the screen. These are engine leeches. So engine leeches, they introduce the first like damage over time. They latch onto you. And if you defend, you can kind of shake them off, right? Or if you manage to defeat them, and as long as they're sort of latched onto you, they are draining your health and shields and turning it into shield for themselves, right? And they are the evasive enemy type, similar to how the 0G roaches worked. So yeah, they're particularly annoying when there's a lot of them, right? The party doesn't have access to a lot of good AoE early on, and we'll want to keep it that way for the rest of this demo segment, because we sort of want to charge you in turns. So here's the main puzzle for the floor B1F, right, is this reactor chamber thing, and that introduces hazard zones, right? And you can see that while we're in a hazard zone, we have this nice little like border thing that I had a fun time making, learned a lot about bitmaps and things like that. Is the method that I came up for the border generation isn't the most cost effective, and if you like leave it running on a little bit too long, right, there is a frame cost to it, so that's not great. But I do think it adds a lot, and also it indicates the fact that if you're doing a fight in a hazard field, then a turn counts as a step out on the field for the purposes of damage, right? So you end up taking damage each turn that happens. Now, one of the things that this made me notice is that there's actually a bug in the message log. So you'll notice that sometimes in the message log, it'll say that somebody took no damage, but you saw their shield go down. And this is because of a curious thing with YEP absorption barrier, where it reduces the damage value based on the amount of barrier points that you have, but that is what is passed ahead to the message log. So the message log is receiving 0, so the message log is reporting that you have taken no damage. Now, exploring this reactor area is a little bit difficult, but there are these very sort of obvious shortcuts that I've sort of left in that allow for this sort of like side exploration. And so your initial trip, right, to sort of activate the first of these, right, doesn't take too much out of you. But the longer trips on the left and right sides, right, have a lot more steps, right? There's chance for encounters, and more importantly, there's the toughest FOE. I don't know if it's gonna be the toughest in the demo. I think the boss of the demo dungeon, right, is probably gonna be a little bit tougher than that, right? But yeah, we'll get to see an encounter with the FOE that's wandering around the reactor chamber a little bit. One mistake that I made was previously the puzzle was that you had to power out the reactor, right, in order to get like a door on the other side in order to activate. And so you probably saw in the gap window there's still that old text left there. Here you're powering down the reactor. And what I realized is that if you're powering down the reactor, we also have to take out the hazard area, sort of like as a consequence of that. So I'll figure out how to do that for next week, right? But for now, please live with like a little bit of ludonarrative discrepancy. Also, I've been thinking about anytime I present things in that choice menu, we have more horizontal space than vertical, so maybe it would be a good use of spreading that out. Anytime there's a thing that like a party member can equip, right? I want it to be such that you're not selecting from a choice menu, but rather you're selecting from the status window that is there. Right now on the map, that is just like a status window that we draw onto, but I want it to be similar to how it is in battle, and I do derive it from the battle status window, right? So you should be able to make selections on it, and I think that the way that you want to like shuffle your order out without having to go into the menu, you should be able to do that via the mouse, right, or via some other controls. Okay, so here we're starting to get into dual wielding, right? But I haven't implemented the stuff for it yet. You're probably noticing the stats kind of going nuts, right? That's because they're not telling you the actual values. Okay, here's a heavy loader, right? This is the power loader from Aliens, right? And this is a really tough battle, as you will see shortly. You can try to cheese it with volt grenades, right? That you picked up, right? But yeah, you'll notice that not only do they have a lot of health, they hit like a truck, right? So we were able to take down the shield of this thing, and if we had like another volt grenade, we would have been able to do the second part of it as well. But yeah, like the party is quickly collapsing, right? And so it's probably a good idea to run away. So it is possible to defeat them, right? It's just really hard right now, right? Maybe come back like in a couple levels, or yeah, like pack volt grenades, right? And like have like 3 members of the party throw out volt grenades. And so I do give you solutions here, right? You have the iron wrench, which is particularly good against robotic enemies, and you have volt grenades, but they're 200 a pop, right? And there are probably more pressing things that you want to buy, especially in this section of the game that is particularly taxing, right, in terms of health. But yeah, we'll see sort of the frontliners pick up 2 weapons, either to dual wield or to have damage type variants. And something that I need to I need to give better feedback for is when an enemy is weak against a particular thing, right? I want to avoid like a big like weak pop-up, but like maybe that's what I have to do, right, in order to get players to kind of recognize. Ooh, yeah, this smog screen is brutal, right? Because like most of our attacks are physical, right? So when the smog screen goes up, sometimes you can try to power through it. Other times you want to defend in order to try to clear it. The party doesn't have ways of clearing ailments right now. That's something that the Scion and the grunt classes will get later on. Okay, so this encounter group I think is a little bit too hard, right, for where the party is right now. Though it's a little bit too taxing, even though the Welder drones kind of like do their thing kind of once, right? Similar to the Oculus, right? They can only do one like magical attack, right? I think that yeah, anytime you go up against two of the swarms, right, you are having to expend a lot of resources. So I probably need to make these encounters a little bit easier, but I still want them to be such that we want you to start using your skills. We want you to start using skills more often. One of the things you'll note is that like the Scion and their elemental exploiting becomes immediately useful, right? One of the things with the full heal is I have to separate the your health full heal with your energy full heal. That's coming down the line, don't worry, right? And then yeah, here we have encounter against 4 Welder drones, which yeah is doable, right? But you're fighting them while in the heat, right? So you don't want like these battles to take too long. These kinds of sort of multi-enemy encounters we'll probably want to save for either the last floor or see if we can get away with having things at 3 enemies. And so there you saw that like your party was getting damaged for like every turn that they were sort of staying out here. I really like those kinds of pressures in turn-based games. I think Questor does a really good job of like purification fuel going down every turn. You kind of want to win every battle on turn 1, thereby the fuel isn't expended, right? As a result of the battle going into multiple turns. And this kind of like endurance contest type of thing, we won't really have the time to explore it in this demo project, but if I get to expand out the game, right, we will have like a couple bosses, right, that it requires like multiple parties of 4, right, to sort of engage against, right. It's a little bit more of a marathon. So here it says power up to 100%, it should be powered down to 0%. You can slip in and see sort of the other side here. There's a junk pile here, which I think no, I think it still works. Yeah. And we're backing off now as we're seeing that like, hey, the party is at pretty low health. One of the traps with the little shortcut is that only one set of the doors can be opened at a time. So yeah, we had one of our party members fall just due to hazards, which to me tells me that like the hazard floors are doing their job, right? Like that should always be a risk, right? And then your preparation is what prevents like that from happening. So I think I need to work on the enemy drops here, right, so that your economy stays fueled, because this area is going to tax you, right, in like a pretty big way, and we don't want this to be a point where players quit. Rather, we want players to kind of want to strive past the difficulty, right, of having to deal with those hazards. And I think that when the reactor powers down, removing the hazard floor is a really good reward, right, for that. So yeah, here we have a fight between a recycler swarm and these engine leeches. The recycler swarms are only one type of sort of like nanomachine enemy, right? Maybe we'll have more. But the swarm idea I want to keep across each of the types, the broader types of enemies, right? So organic swarms, right? That'll be like swarms of like insects and things like that. Robotic swarms are like nanomachine swarms, drone swarms, and etheric swarms, right? Are like will-o-wisps and sort of like ectoplasmic, sort of like nebula ghosts and things like that. In the last floor, so each of the floors is sort of meant to showcase more of one type of enemy. I think that there's a little bit too many robots in the first part of floor 1F, so I'll try to add more organic enemies, right? But yeah, here we get so this section of B1F, right, like once you power down the reactor, you're able to open the doors on the side. This part is a little bit of a finish, right? So I'll show you what will be here, right? I think I've shown this section to you all in like one of the like first videos, probably. If not, let me know. We've done 7 of these at this point. I'm very proud of that. And it shows, right? Like you're able to like play this for 30 minutes and like it's a game. Like that's still surprising to me, right? So this is too expensive, right? Like this was kind of a slog for even me to kind of go through, and I think that this is the kind of encounter that players may feel like I'm like wasting their time, right? If and I really want to be time conscious of the player, right? I really want to be because I know that these are tax encounters, right? These are not encounters that necessarily kill you. But the tax is intentional, right? It's to sort of starve your resources, right? But also by going through these, give those back, right? So that in the form of like loot that they drop, right? So you're spending a couple of resources, but you're getting more long term, and that allows you to kind of continue along the economy, right? Here you get to the other side, right, of that rift, right? You get to pick up the treasure chests, and then you get to activate this light bridge. Once we're past, again, three welders. I think three welders is fine, right? But like that's about where the sort of encounters kind of should be. The other thing I noticed is that I think I'll have weapons auto reload once a fight is done, if the available ammo is there, because I think you lose a bit if your first turn is spent reloading, right? Ranged weapon users can't really, because they're already doing things like on sort of off turns compared to melee weapon users who are sort of being able to dish out their damage on every turn. So here we have the light bridge. I have to figure out the passability thing, and then there's your first mod that you pick up there, right? You'll notice that there's no mod slots, and that's because you'll have to wait to get to about level 5, and then the mod slot sort of unlocks, right? And then level 10 is when the next one unlocks. That kind of thing. So yeah, here's where we'll kind of call it. So thank you so much for listening. Hopefully that didn't feel too much like stream of consciousness. So next week the plan is I think I'll continue working on B1F, and then once B1F is done, we'll do another like lecture style one of these where I go over the items and itemization system. One of the missing items from here is that you pick up your first piece of heavy armor here, right? And you pick up I don't think you pick up a heavy ranged weapon, but you pick up a ranged weapon that has like a burst fire, kind of option. And those happen at B1F, right? And you use them going forward, right? Into the rest of the dungeon. So yeah, I feel free to leave feedback on stuff that you like, stuff that you don't like. I think that like initial section feels right to me, right? Like maybe it's like a little bit difficult, but like once the tutorial pop-ups and things are there, I think we have it. But B1F, right? Obviously, like the enemy is a little bit too hard, a little bit too taxing right now, and that'll be adjusted. We'll keep doing these like adjustments by hand, but there'll be an adjustment by numbers once everything is sort of out there. And I look forward to doing that, as hopefully I can finish this demo before the end of this year. Maybe make it like a nice like Christmas or New Year's gift for you all in order to play it. And then yeah, we'll see if what the reception is, what the feedback is like, and we'll see if I want to sort of continue on this project after that point. But as always, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.